This is What School Didn't Teach Me, a podcast meant to build community on all the things school doesn't prepare you for. Hi, I'm your host, Jasmine Kiamber, and class is in session.
Hey, classmates, welcome back to the classroom. It's your host, Jasmine Kiamber, and I am so... What's my word of the week? Hold on, I gotta look it up. Hold on. Fortunate. Fortunate is my word. I'm extremely fortunate to have my classmates here with me in the classroom listening to me on this great Tuesday, or whenever you've decided to listen. You know, not everybody tune in on Tuesday. Whenever you listen, wherever you listen, I'm so fortunate that you are here with me. You've decided to take time out of your busy schedule to be here with me. So y'all, I want to cut right to the chase. Y'all know how I said in episode 2 that I was Delulu? Yeah, I ain't Delulu no more. I'm delivered. I ain't delusional no more. I feel like that deserves a hand clap because, baby, that is years and years and years of being delusional. Like, I'm really breaking curses off myself, okay? Why? Why, you may ask? Why are you no longer delusional? What's different now than before, right? And honestly, y'all, I realized that I literally was just talking to my friend about this. It was just the conversation that I needed because it made me realize that the things that I was tolerating from this person, while I loved them and cared so much for them and wanted them in my life, there were things that this person was giving me, or there were behaviors that this person was displaying that was not in line with the love I actually want to receive, right? The love that I know I deserve, right? And I realized like I had to make the big girl step to actually use my boundaries, right? I know we talked about saying no and how we talked about boundaries, and I'm really starting to learn that boundaries are not for other people, they are for us, right? I would hear people say that. People would literally say, your boundaries are not for other people. Your boundaries are for you. I would hear people say that, but then I never really had to use my boundaries in a way that was hard for me, right? Like I never had to set a boundary and it was hard for me to, like, physically hard for me to do it. Like a time boundary, oh yeah, it was definitely hard for me to set a time boundary. Say I was only going to be free for 15 minutes and leave after the 15 minutes. Oh yeah, that was hard to do because it was difficult to not give that person or give people my time, especially when I was having fun. But like to say, oh, you know, to make the boundary, oh, you have to let me be more direct. I needed more of this person's time. And it was like, oh, if you don't give me the time that I'm requiring, I can't stick around. And to actually have to enforce that, to actually be like, oh, I gotta go, like, was really, really hard. Like, I had to put my foot down and it was hard. And I guess, yeah. Yeah, it was hard, but I feel better for it because I have been in situations where I have stayed way too long when I knew I should have left, and I gave somebody else the last word when I wanted the last word. This was not one of those situations. This was not like, I know that sounds petty. So like, this was not one of those situations. It was not like a petty little, I get the last word. Aha. But it's like you do, like, I did have to pick up and move when I was called to pick up and move. Like, if this is no longer serving me, I cannot sit here and stay, you know? And I think I did that a whole lot in my life. And it got me thinking, like, why do I stick around if I know a situation is not serving me? Why does that seem to be a habit that I have picked up, right? And I had to go back, like, I had to dig deep, babe. And I realized that, like, I had a father who, not to trash no daddies out there, you know, I'm sure y'all are doing great, but it's like I had a father who I had to constantly forgive and constantly give second chances to. And so at a very young age, I learned how to put my feelings aside and to how to put my feelings aside and be considerate of other people, right? I learned that at a very young age, just how to give a person a second chance and hope that they do better or hope that they learn this time, right? I never, and when you learn how to give people more and more chances, and when you learn how to just be kind to people unconditionally, you don't always learn how to walk away. Right. I remember watching a TikTok that said, I remember that a TikTok that said that very thing. Like when you learn how to love people, no matter what, it gets hard for you to walk away. It's hard to know when to walk away. And so that was a large part of my childhood. Like forgiving somebody over and over again, getting burned, taking some time, and then walking right back into that situation. So then growing up, I attracted men who I just was okay with forgiving. And when they did not show progress, when they did not show progress, I thought I just needed to be patient. I thought I needed to be more patient. I thought that I just, needed to understand and accept that they were human, not realizing that sometimes when I'm doing that, I'm disrespecting my own boundaries. And so in this time it was a really, really big thing for me, like to just put the halt on something that I felt like was not in line with my boundaries. And it made me think there are a lot of habits that we grow up learning that now we have to unlearn, right? Like there are a lot of things that we grow up doing, a lot of things that we learn as young people. And now that we are young adults, they are no longer serving us. And we have to unlearn those bad habits. And I'm not talking about bad habits like smoking. And I'm not talking about bad habits like procrastination. And I'm not talking about bad habits like tardiness. Although those are all bad habits that I have had before. I am really working on the tardiness aspect. Um, but those are not the kind of habits that I'm talking about, right? Like I'm talking about deep emotional habits, right? Like I said, my habit for me was giving people too many chances. And I hate when people talk about like, oh, my only flaw is that I got a big heart, and my only flaw is that I like, shut up. Just be quiet. Just like, I don't like stuff like that. But it's like a flaw can be, or a bad habit can be, giving people too many chances, right? Not necessarily having a big heart, but like staying for longer than you're supposed to, or staying in situations that no longer serve you, or being scared to move forward with a certain activity or with a certain dream because you're scared you're gonna fail. Those are all what I feel like are bad habits that have been implanted in us since we were young. Like that is a seed that has been planted in you at some point in your life. At some point in your life, a seed was planted in you and grew into this bad habit. And now, in this era of investing in ourselves, in this era of becoming the best versions of ourselves, we got to let that stuff go. We got to let it go. So, yeah, I'm really excited about this episode. Like, I'm just excited about it. Like I gotta come up with a new word. I'm excited about it, and I'm really fortunate that you guys have joined me today to talk about these things. Because I'm sure, giving people too many chances might not be your bad habit. Cutting people off too quickly might be a bad habit, right? I know another bad habit for me is asking for help. Oh my gosh. Man, do I have trouble asking for help. Because in one point of my life, multiple seeds were planted, right? I never saw enough people asking for help when I was growing up, right? Like I grew up with a single mother. I didn't realize how much of a village it took, but a lot of times I didn't see my mom asking for help. Then at a young age, I learned that sometimes asking for help comes with consequences. And baby, I would rather do it myself. Then I was the only child, and I did not always have somebody next to me to just help me. So it's like I never really learned to just ask for help. So then you grow up, you're doing everything by yourself. It gets hard. You don't know how to carry the load by yourself. People are asking you if you want help. You're not used to that, so you say no. That's my bad habit. Your bad habit might be something completely different. I'm just saying that in this season, we got to let that stuff go. Okay, I had to grab my notebook to make sure I was on track. But I wanted to talk about what bad habits are what bad habits are, how we acquire them, and then how we can break them, right? So here's what I have. What do bad habits look like? They can look like not getting your needs met. They can look like shrinking in places where you really don't need to, like feeling small, making yourself small, diminishing your life for other people. And then it can look like breaking your own boundaries, right? And then how do we acquire bad habits? Like I said, it's a lot of times it's a seed planted when we were younger, right? What habit do you have that you have made? Sometimes we make that thing a part of our personality. Oh, I'm just independent. I'm just independent. I don't need no help. I don't need no help. I don't need nobody. Or were you taught that people come and go in your life and you just don't want to get close to other people? You know, like what experiences have you had in your life that have planted seeds that turn into bad habits? I'm trying to think. I've already shared two major ones of mine: asking for help, and staying longer than I should, right? Or tolerating things that really don't align with my boundaries, right? And those both come from things that happened in my childhood, and they were not direct traumas, but they did plant seeds. Yours might come from a direct trauma. What's that thing that you've been trying not to think about that has had an effect on your life? You know, and it's causing you to shrink. I know sometimes we can come from families that don't encourage us to talk about what's going on in the room. I know a big one is shrinking. I know that was on my list, but like dimming your light for other people, not speaking up when you have the opportunity or when somebody's trying to make the space for you, right? I know that's a big thing for a lot of people. Like I've had a lot of friends who have ideas, have thoughts, have opinions, and they're great ones, but they never share them. And I'm like, why? Like, why do you keep all this goodness to yourself? And the more we talk, the more we get into it, it's like, oh, I grew up in a household where people always talked over me, or they were never listening, or, you know, I just didn't feel like what I had to say was important. That was taught somewhere. Like these bad habits come from somewhere, and it's our job to start unlearning them. So the first step is to identify where it comes. Well, I guess the first step is to identify what your bad habit is. What is that thing that you may want to get rid of? Baby, I'm working on asking for help. Like I am working on reaching out to my loved ones just when I want to talk to them, reaching out to people when I feel like I need a little support, reaching out to people when I feel lonely and bored and just need somebody to hang around, right? I'm working on those things. Your first step is to identify what your bad habit is. Then you need to figure out where it comes from, because we be talking about it. If you can get to the root of the problem, you can actually start solving the problem. So once you figure out where that bad habit is coming from, like what was the seed that was planted that grew that plant of bad habits, you can start tending to it, right? You can start soothing and reassuring yourself that, no, my opinion does matter. These people are giving me the space to talk and I should use it. No, these people want to help me and I should let them help me. No, I don't have to stay for this thing if it does not align with my boundaries. I don't have to tolerate these people being rude or disrespectful to me if I don't really want to. I don't have to stay in this negative space if I don't feel like I'm being appreciated here. Once you get to the root of what is wrong, shucks, I don't have to just say yes to any opportunity that comes my way because I'm tired. Your bad habit might be overcommitting. Your bad habit might be not saying no enough. You know, the last episode, we just did an episode talking about say no more. That might be your bad habit. Once you figure out where that comes from, once you figure out where the seed was planted, when the seed was planted, you can start to tend to that bad habit. You can start reassuring yourself and instead create some good habits, some better habits, right? It doesn't have to be this extreme flip. Oh, this person is not giving me the time that I want. Let me cut them off. No. It can be, this person is not giving me the time that I want, so I can only give them X amount of time. I can only give them X amount of energy. I keep saying yes to anything and now I feel overwhelmed, so I just need to say no to everything. It doesn't have to be that way. You can just say yes to the things that you want to say yes to, and no to the things that you don't want to say yes to. And no to the things, yeah, and no to the things that you don't want to say yes to. You don't have to go from shrinking in every room that you are in to being the most loud and boisterous in the room. Not if that's what's not natural to you. Once you can start tending to that bad habit, you can start to learn and feel out what's natural to you. And you're still going to make mistakes, and it's still not going to be easy. But y'all, the theme for this season is investing in yourself, which means you're just going to have to do the work. And as you do the work, you will get better. You will get better, and you will start to develop these good habits, and they'll become second nature to you. So boom. So how do we drop those bad habits and acquire those good habits? We identify where the bad habits come from. We tend to the yeah, no. We identify what our bad habit is. We identify where it comes from, and then we go trial and error, right? Like I said, you are investing in yourself, which means it's not going to be right the first time. You might snap on somebody in the name of your boundaries, and you might not really mean it, but it's trial and error. I've done it. Oh my gosh, I have done it. And I have had to go back and apologize to people for cutting them off in my head or snapping on them in real life because I thought they disrespected me. But really, it was trial and error. Really, they just got caught in the crossfire of what my trauma was, right? It's not going to be perfect, but I promise you, if you keep trying, you will get better. And it will get easier to start setting boundaries and to make good choices and to have better habits, right? Y'all, we getting old. I'm 21. If you're 02, baby, some of y'all are already 22. I ain't gonna say too much. I'm just saying that at this age, it's time for us to start taking responsibility over ourselves, right? A lot of us, I'm still in my parents' house, but my mom doesn't control me anymore. I make moves. I make moves on my own. I make my own decisions, which means that when it's time to start healing, we got to make our own decisions when it's time to start healing. We got to stop being stubborn and stuck in our ways cuz we are the new adults. Like we're grown people now. And now's the time for us to, before we hit a certain age, before we become too stubborn and stuck in our ways, now's the time for us to start developing good habits, good boundaries, good relationships with other people. And the best way for us to do that is to start within ourselves and to start unlearning certain things that were planted into us when we were younger. They say it takes 21 days to make a habit. So for the next 21 days, I want you to pick a bad habit that you are going to tend to. What's my bad habit going to be? I'm going to start with my boundaries. I'm going to start with tolerating things that I should not tolerate. I'm not going to say that happens to me in a lot of spaces because I've gotten a whole lot better at identifying it and leaving those spaces or making it very clear when I feel uncomfortable in those spaces. But I told y'all, like, I'm recently not Delulu. I'm fresh out of Delulu land. So I gotta maintain that boundary, right? I gotta hold myself accountable and maintain that, I gotta keep that same energy. What is it? I gotta stand on business. Y'all, I've never had to stand on business before in my life, so this is actually, that's not true. I've had to stand on business and I did a great job at it. Okay, I got a dude who hate me because I was standing on business, but now I got to stand on business again, and it's gonna be really, really hard this time. But that's gonna be for the next 21 days. For the next 21 days, I'm gonna hold myself accountable for not entertaining spaces where I don't feel appreciated. I'm going to hold myself accountable to not tolerate things that don't align with my boundaries, which honestly means that I need to rewrite my boundaries. I need to rewrite the things that I'm going to tolerate, rewrite the things that I am going to deal with, and start living my life according to that. Because for me, I need to see it like in my face. If certain things are written down, I will forget. Even when it comes to boundaries, I had a friend who asked me, like, you'll forget your boundaries if you don't write them down. Yes, I will. Because if I don't write it down, it never existed. That's why I keep a notebook on me at all times, because if I don't write it down, it never existed. Um so yeah, for the next 21 days, classmates, for the next 21 days, I need y'all to pick a bad habit. I need y'all to identify a bad habit and then figure out where it came from. And then work towards making good boundaries, good habits. Work on unlearning that habit. And watch, keep track of how different you feel when you start treating yourself differently. Keep track of how different you feel when you start picking up good habits and dropping bad ones. Like, write it down in your journal. I have journal entry logs of from when I was first in my choose myself journey. And I remember, like, reading it back, I remember how good I felt to be choosing me, to know that I was actively learning and I wasn't always getting it right. And it was not easy, but to know that I was learning how to take care of myself as a young adult felt so freeing. So keep a log, keep a journal, keep track of it in some way so that you can read it back to yourself. Because I promise you, you will feel such a difference in 21 days if you drop this bad habit. So yeah, that's our new challenge. That's our new homework. I haven't given y'all homework in a long time. We haven't done homework in a long time. But that's our homework, classmates. For the next 21 days, we're going to pick one bad habit. One bad habit that we're going to start to unlearn. And even if your bad habit isn't emotional, if your bad habit is something like smoking, drinking, procrastination, tardiness, laziness, that's fine too. This is a personal development podcast, which means I thrive up whatever you are passionate about. Whatever you want to better yourself in, I'm all for it. So pick one habit for the next 21 days and let's work on it together. But that's all I had for today. I was super excited about recording this episode, and I'm so glad we talked about it because I don't know. I just feel really, really good about it. I feel really good about sharing with my classmates. I feel so much better about being open, honest, and transparent with y'all because that's something I'm working on. But I just feel really good about this episode, and I really, really hope y'all enjoyed it. So let me know. Let me know what your habit is. Let me know what you think about today's episode. And if you're watching us on YouTube, like, comment, share, subscribe, all those things, okay? And if you're not watching us on YouTube, you should. You should. But wherever you're listening from, give us a 5-star rating. Give us a 5-star rating and a comment. Y'all, I be reading y'all comments. I was reading the comments in Apple Podcasts and they almost made me cry. Like, I am so grateful that you guys actually interact with me and that you guys talk back to me. Like, I am serious when I say that we are a community. And I'm so grateful for the community that we have created. So yeah, 21 days, y'all. Pick your habit and I'll see y'all next week.